Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is safe and doing well. Basically, today I would like to share with you a bit our experience at Saradar Bank during this tough and difficult times we've been passing through. So I will tell you a bit about our own experience, the initiatives that we took, the challenges that we faced, and what we believe is really important to, if we want to continue with the new norm, let's say after this confinement period, to be working virtually, what are the major considerations to be taken into account? So I'm going to start with just to highlight the major initiatives that we worked on and give some examples around them. Basically, there were 4 pillars that were really important to take into consideration when we had our employees working remotely from home. The first thing is the infrastructure, and I will be talking in details, about each pillar. Second thing is the communication with the employees, with the managers, to stay all connected. Third is the productivity and results orientation. It was really important to make sure that our employees are being productive, are able to be productive when working remotely. And the fourth pillar is around motivation and self-fulfillment. So basically, we wanted our employees to feel at ease working from home, to be really motivated, and to have a smooth experience. To start with the infrastructure, the most important thing to be able to work from home is to have really a solid infrastructure. So you need to have actually to allow your employees to be able to access their workspace. So I'm going to share with you the tools that we used. I think most of you might already be using these tools or heard of these tools or might using others, but these were the tools that we used, and we were really we had a really amazing experience with these tools because they helped us a lot connect and really work in a very smooth form. So first we had the access to our workspace from home, which is over VDI over web. So this access was granted to all the employees that were able to work from home, that could actually work from home, because being in the banking industry, it's kind of a big challenge to have branch employees, for example, working from home, because their whole work is actually, triggered by customers' requests, by customers coming into the branch, and sometimes by we have certain procedures that we cannot really do virtually. For instance, like the signature of certain documents or authentication of certain documents, etc. These things that need to be done face to face. So what we did is, for the head office departments, all our employees were actually active and working from home. We had no issue with the head office departments. We had a little bit of challenge with the branches. So for the head office employees, they were able to actually access their workstations and access all their files, their emails, the shared files between colleagues. They had a secure access to the whole workstation from home. So this really helped a lot to facilitate everything. They were able to access their files, share them with colleagues, send emails, etc. The second thing is, of course, Zoom, which is during this past 2 months, I think everybody knows about Zoom and everybody is using Zoom. So we're using it a lot for team meetings, for meetings with the CEO, even for other fun activities that I'm gonna also share with you. And then we have the Cisco Jabber. It's the telephone system that we actually use at the bank. So for instance, our contact center, the contact center that receives calls from clients, they were able to work from home using the Cisco Jabber. So what we did is we actually downloaded the Cisco Jabber on their mobiles, and they were able to receive all the phone calls that were directed to the bank on their mobiles and actually be really 100% operational from home. And there's another tool that's the Jabber. Jabber is a tool that helps employees chat with each other, share files, create private groups. So this is a tool that was really used a lot by the IT department, by the developers, because they need to share a lot of files and work on them simultaneously, etc. So this one was done over Jabber. And the last tool that we used as well is Trello. So Trello is the task management tool where you actually assign tasks to your employees, and you can follow up on these tasks without really bombarding all your employees and calling them every day and telling them what has happened to this task or where are we, etc. You can do this through Trello. So by using all these tools, we were able to really effectively work from home and help our employees really be productive. Now, the issue in our country, of course, one of the challenges was the connection problem. Sometimes in certain regions, you don't have a really strong connection, internet connection. So we tried to help also our employees by granting them either some there's a certain kind of data that you can buy from Alpha or MTC that you can actually provide to your employees, and they can use it on their phones or on their laptops. So they can, because let's say if the Wi-Fi is not really working or connecting, so the bank was able to provide employees who were having connection problems with some cards or some form of stronger internet connection, so they can just to make sure that everything is smooth and working properly. And as I said, we actually we're always communicating with the employees. It's not enough to just have the tools. It's also very important to always communicate and just always enlighten our employees about the best, procedures or the best process to follow whenever you're working from home, because this was really new to us. Previously, we didn't have employees really working from home. So we try to always communicate with them via emails or messages, and just to give them some, tips and guidelines. So to start with, we had kind of a broadcast regarding information security, because it's very important that the information is secure when you're working at home, that, there's no leakage, or there's, we try to, as much as we can, to allow everyone to work, but in a safe way. So one of the things is we advise them to have strong passwords on their laptops, on their, on their even documents, and not to share these passwords with anyone, to only store their information on the VDI, on the shared bank software. So not to really save their information or their files or their clients' information on something that is outside the bank's network. So this was really important. And then to always, whenever you're not available, whenever you're not in front of your laptop, to always lock your screen. So, you make sure nobody else could access or see the information. So these were guidelines that were shared with them to make sure, as much as we can, because we cannot really 100% monitor everyone and be sure that everything is under control, but at least you can advise them and guide them and help them, make the best out of this experience. So this is for the infrastructure. Going to the communication part, it was really important for us to stay connected to the managers, help them, lead their teams during this unusual time, plus stay connected with the employees. We didn't want employees to feel that if they are out of sight, that means they are out of mind. We want them to feel that we are always here in terms of management team, in terms of their own managers. So we used to check in on them regularly. Every week, we used to send them guides and tips on how to, make their working from home experience better and smooth. So just to give you an example about a bit the guidelines that we've shared with our employees, we've asked them to set a morning routine and to stick to it. We've although sometimes during Zoom calls, everybody is wearing casual and, staying, you're staying at home, so you don't need to be really well dressed. But sometimes when we have calls with our CEO or with the managers, we used to tell them, it's okay, it's nice to dress up a bit, maybe the upper part at least, it's nice to dress up a bit, feel more connected. with the work environment. We've asked them to choose a quiet and comfortable place to, set their laptops and to be able to concentrate on their work, because with the kids running around at home, for the people that are married, or other, I don't know, interruptions, it's good to find a quiet place with, if possible, a nice view of a garden or the I don't know, the sea or whatever. So just to feel at ease from where they're working. We've asked them to try to limit distractions as much as they can, and to take breaks and exercise during the day. The nice thing about working from home is you can set your own routine and you can set your own schedule. So basically, you don't have to stick to a certain 9 till 6. You can start earlier because you're actually not on. A lot of people that are commuting to work lose a lot of time on the roads. You can benefit from these times that were previously lost on the roads, actually, to probably begin work earlier, or maybe have a yoga session in the morning and then, start your work. In addition, we send them a lot of tips and guidelines on how to actually take care of their posture while working, because after all, you're working 8 to 9 hours per day, and sitting on I don't know, on a regular chair, which is not, the chairs that are really comfortable, the ones that you have at the office, could a bit harm your back or your posture, etc. So we try to advise them to get, to be able to sit on comfortable chairs, to elevate their feet on on a kind of a box, to be more relaxed, to elevate their screens, because when your screen is not elevated at your eyesight level, it could cause neck pain. And not to sit, too long on a very long period without taking any breaks or walking around for 5 minutes, etc. So I'm sharing with you all these tips just, to give you an idea about all the initiatives that we have we thought about and we shared with our employees, and they were really receptive, and we got feedback that it was beneficial and it helped them a lot. Then we went on to a bit guiding them on how to eat healthy, and actually sharing with them healthy recipes that they can do at home with their parents, with their kids. We've shared with them a lot of sites where they can read books in case they would like to have a break and they're interested in reading books. So we shared with them a lot of interesting sites. And what we did is actually we had small social clubs. So basically, if you have a group of employees that are interested in reading books, so they would be virtually connected, they would share a certain interesting book that they've read, they would share it with the rest of the team. And once they all have read the book, they would share their comments, they would start talking about the book. Other social clubs were related to, let's say, we had Netflix. So people were really watching Netflix a lot during this period. So we had people recommending movies, recommending series, connecting together, talking about them, etc. We have shared with them a lot of relaxing yoga and relaxing techniques that they can do during the day to relax, to actually take the stress out and be in a better shape. We actually have, in our group, in Saradar group, we have a club, S-Club. So we had our personal trainers actually have live sessions, live coaching sessions for whoever is interested to join them over Instagram, or we have sent the recorded sessions to, we have shared actually on a shared folder that the whole bank could access, so they can have access to these, coaching sessions and do some sports on their own at home. Another thing is we have tried to organize virtual happy hours for employees. Whoever is interested, they connect at a certain time, and everybody has his own drink at home, and they chat, they talk, some of them play some music, etc. Another interesting thing that we had is we had a virtual rally paper. So we organized a rally paper and they were able to solve riddles, questions, do some, do some actions that were some videos. They had to do some videos and submit them, etc. And we had winners. This was really something very nice, and they enjoyed it. So all of these activities really aim at keeping this, keeping these employees interconnected, feeling that we're still here, everybody is still working together, we're always connecting with them. Another thing that we did, and it had a lot of success, is actually we had a virtual board game. There's a board game called Code Name. It was translated, it is actually in Lebanon, it is translated into Arabic. It's called Fhimt Alik in Arabic. And we had a lot of employees that were interested to play this board game, took part, and we did it virtually over Zoom as well. So this was a really a big success, I mean. So this way, I mean, employees felt really they belong. We tried as much as we can to keep the culture that we have at the bank, which is caring about employees, always asking about them, hearing from them if they have any problems, getting back to them with every decision that is being taken. So this was a way to keep really connected and do the fun stuff in addition to the work stuff. So the third pillar, so this is for communication. The third pillar that was important to us is, of course, productivity and results. We were results oriented. So having the team working virtual from home is not easy in terms of monitoring the work, making sure everything is on track. But as I said, we had tools to monitor the work, in addition to keeping this close communication between the manager, the team leader, and his team. So we had a lot of webinars with managers and team leaders to explain to them actually how to go about having a successful experience with their employees working from home. So the guidance that were actually given to those managers was to keep track of the roles and responsibilities of each employee and make sure that each employee really knows what is expected from him and by when. And the manager's role is to actually just follow up either by using Trello or by having a weekly, let's say, team call on Zoom with the team to follow up on the progress and make sure that everything is being delivered on time. Projects are, deadlines are being met, projects are actually running smoothly, etc. So, and we've asked managers to put some success measures whereby they could actually measure if everything is, if an employee is working successfully and meeting his role and responsibilities. So one of the things as well, once you have a dedicated space to work and you decide on what you need to actually submit by the end of the day, I think with all the arrangements that you would have in place at home and with the clear expectations from your manager, I believe it's going to be a really easy and smooth task to actually deliver whatever is being asked from you. So we had a lot of trainings as well, virtual trainings. It was a really good time to have a lot of virtual trainings because employees had more time on their hands, especially that we were really confined and we didn't have a choice. So we were really stuck in our homes. We couldn't go out on weekends or during nights or etc. So we had a lot of time and we made sure to make the best out of this time for them to have something else other than they would actually they would have time for their family, for their kids, their parents, for the work, but for the fun stuff and for self-learning. We saw that a lot of employees, we've witnessed that a lot of employees were really interested in self-learning and learning new social things or new technical things as well. So we invested a lot in virtual training, and as well it was a really successful initiative because a lot of employees were actually watching all the webinars, and it doesn't matter if the webinar was at 8 p.m. or was on a Sunday or a Saturday, because as I said, the days were all the same. And for us, I mean, during confinement, this was especially during confinement. I think now when we're back to normal life and when we're back to actually going out on weekends, etc., it's not going to be feasible. But back then it was really a good, a good time to invest in self-learning. And there's a lot of training topics that our employees really liked and helped them in their daily work. I'm just going to name a few to give you a few examples. One topic was about how to deal with angry customers in time of crisis, because everybody is really dealing with, especially, I mean, employees that have direct contact with customers are dealing with this type of, challenges. We had a lot of appetite from our employees to actually attend a webinar about mental toughness during all this, challenging moments we're passing through, from the corona to the crisis before that. So it was very beneficial, and they really liked the webinar. Another webinar was about dealing with stress, anxiety, and during difficult times. Another interesting one was about how to boost your happy hormones naturally. So I'm not going to go definitely into each training course, but just to let you know that there's a lot of interesting training courses that are present virtually, and they are really of added value to our employees. There was one for managers that was really good, which is Leading in Turbulent Times, a guide to confidently manage during these challenging times. Happiness at work from home, how to be happy while you're working from home. And there's a lot more. So I'm not going to go through all the topics and the webinars, but what I can say is that it was a very, very successful initiative. Employees liked it. They started implementing some things they've learned in their daily life with their families, with their kids, with their parents. And what we're doing now is we're developing internal seminars. So usually the trainings that we used to give internally by heads of departments or by certain experts in the field, we're actually doing all these trainings now. We're launching all these trainings now through Zoom. So even if we come back to the normal, to our normal life, and employees are going to come back to their offices or to their branches, we're going to still use Zoom, and we're going to still do trainings online, because it's easier for commute purposes. It's easier than to bring someone, let's say, from Jounieh to Beirut just to attend the training, while he can really attend the training over virtually. So we're going to proceed with that. Once everything, we're going to keep on, working on that once everything is back to normal. Okay, so this was around productivity and results orientation. And the fourth important element is around motivation and self-fulfillment, which comes out of all these, these initiatives that I just shared with you. From staying really close to your employees, listening to them, understanding what's happening. Now, there's an interesting thing that we've done is actually we had a short questionnaire that we shared with our employees to know a bit how they are feeling during these challenging times, and what are the challenges and how we can help them. So staying connected with your teams is really important, and understanding their needs, and really providing them with what is needed to have a smooth workflow remotely, even if they are remote. So this is basically it. These are the four important pillars that were taken into consideration. And I can share with you, I have a lot of more in terms of examples of, let's say, fun activities that were done with the employees. We can go through them as well. But just to recap a bit, because I have a small recap, just to keep in mind, now that we're going forward a bit to a more normal life, and maybe I think some companies, some banks will actually consider work from home to be part of the normal life. I mean, we don't really have to be all in the offices at the same time. And I mean, some functions can easily operate from home and be more productive from home. I think there's a new form coming out in the near future, and we're going to see more people working from home. So just keep in mind to always have clarity regarding reporting relationships, regarding roles, regarding expectations from these employees that are remotely working. Make sure to have the best technology in place, to have the best tools in place to make this experience a smooth experience for everyone. Always check in on your employees. Always ask them, how's it going? Do you have any, is it working for you or not? Do you need any support? Is there any challenges? So really stay connected with your employees. And always, I mean, try to create kind of a channel whereby your employees, if they have any issue they want to raise regarding specifically remote working, they can transfer this issue to a specialized team. It could be a team of IT people. It could be a team of HR and IT. It depends. Each company, you know, in terms of the challenges, probably they're facing and, you know, their experience in remote working. So basically, this is in a nutshell what I wanted to share with you. And if you have any questions, if you would like to have more details about a certain initiative or how we dealt with a certain issue, I'm ready to take any questions basically you have.
Well, Biba, thank you for the presentation. We have one question. How were you able to follow on the KPIs of the employees?
Okay. So for the employees' KPIs, it was, it's usually the manager. From an HR perspective, from an HR perspective, what we do is actually during the performance appraisal process, we have the KPIs written for each and every employee for the coming year. So basically at the end of 2019, we had the KPIs for every employee. And what we did since the beginning of March until now, since we were in confinement and working remotely, is actually to make sure that managers are following up on their employees' KPIs. And the way they do it is actually through either Trello. This is why I'm saying there's tools that you can use to monitor the progress of a certain employee on a certain task. So you can use some tools like Trello. We use Trello, other employees use other tools. So it depends. If you don't want to use a certain tool, you can just do it virtually one-to-one. So you need to set deadlines, you know, you need to set expectations with deadlines and really make sure that they actually deliver on the expected deadline. So this is I mean, the way it was done when we were in the office, when we weren't working remotely, could be done as well, but virtually. But with the help of, you know, tools, you can actually do it without having to really probably follow up with an email or call the employee. You can just do it through this, through a certain technology tool.
Okay, we have
I hope I answered the question. I don't know.
Yes, you did. So we have another question. What are your top 3 learnings from this time at home that you can take with us once we work from work?
Top 3 learnings?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, the experience has taught us a lot of things, but let me think about the top 3. The first one I would say is actually we can use this remote working to our advantage, to the employees' advantage and to the institution's advantage. And I believe we should keep it in our organization in terms of how we structure, how people work and where they work from is actually something really important. And this remote working has shown us that a lot of employees were really very happy and comfortable working from home, and they were really productive at the same time. Because you might have employees that tend to lose a lot of time or lose track of their work, etc. But on the contrary, we saw that most of them were really productive and saving time on commuting and traffic, etc. It was really beneficial to them as they had more time to spend on their own, on their own self wellness, on with their families, etc. So I think the first lesson is that we should always, going forward, we will continue, at least for us, to incorporate this virtual learning, virtual meeting, working remotely into our everyday life. Even if we're back to work, we can have people work from home, I don't know, a day per week or a couple of days per month, which would really motivate them, make them feel comfortable. And this is one thing. The other thing is that I believe, strangely enough, a lot of employees from different departments that didn't used to interact due to their work. They don't have anything in common. I mean, certain departments that are really far from each other, be it physically or work related, actually came closer together in this virtual forum. Because when we had this boost of coming up with a lot of fun activities, virtual fun activities, they actually met each other and saw each other. Usually in normal times, when you want to try to gather 400 employees or gather small groups, it's usually hard and you can't do it on a weekly basis. It's out of the question. But when it's virtual, you can do it on a weekly basis. So it brought employees together. So this is something very important, and I think we should keep on doing it as well, I mean virtually, because this is where the culture is created and employees feel the belonging and try to understand each other more, know each other more. So this is the second learning point. And the third learning point from this experience, I would say, is actually related to helping us organize ourselves and helping us organize ourselves. I mean, not just at work, but really as a lifestyle, to follow a certain lifestyle. Because from the responses we got and from the experiences, from our own experiences, the employees' experiences, we found out that we have missed a lot in our busy, if you want, life before. We were so busy and running around everything that we missed out on really important things in life, like maybe taking an hour a day just to walk around every day. Usually before, we didn't have time, usually for sports a lot. We didn't have time to check in on family members every day or once per week or whatever. So I think this lifestyle, a new lifestyle, has kind of emerged from this confinement period, and from really reflecting upon ourselves and reflecting on what is priority in our life and how we would like to actually manage our day and manage our week and go along in our life. So I think this is really important, and we should keep the balance going forward in terms of work and life balance, and really reflecting on what's important and giving time to everything, and being able to actually dedicate enough time to work, to our family, to our self-awareness, and to our health. So I think these are the really most three important lessons.
Okay, Mrs. Biba, we have one more question. After having tried working from home, which departments in the banking sector do you think will be restructured?
Okay, I'm not sure I understand what restructure, in this context, what do they mean by restructured? Probably I'm going to assume it means which departments in the bank could continue working remotely.
Yes, I guess that's it, yes.
Okay, we'll continue working remotely. As I said, Jan, at the beginning, for the for the banking sector, it's actually challenging because the work in the branches is based on customers and based on one-to-one, one-to-one interactions, based on some signatures that sometimes cannot be done through the digital platform. So it's going to be really very hard for branches, but it's really easy for head office departments, as long as head office departments, for example, like finance, IT, HR, accounting, these kind of departments where you have interaction, but your interaction is with the employees. So your clients are the employees. So you can eventually come once or twice per week and, check, do your meetings with the employees, with management, etc. But you don't really have every day to be at the office. So the head office departments definitely are more flexible to work from home and work remotely. The branches, it's a big challenge, and it's something that is interesting to see in the future, if we would be able to have everything, all the transactions, everything done digitally, without really having without really having customers, coming to the branch to perform any kind of transaction.
Yes, Biba, thank you for mentioning about the trainings. If you had to recommend one training that was liked by everyone, which one would that be?
Okay, let me see, because I have the list of trainings here with the feedbacks and what was the most popular among all these trainings. So I'm gonna tell you about. I'm gonna name a few, because there's a few that really had a lot of. We had a lot of demand on these trainings. Basically, boost your happy hormones naturally. This was one training, to how to boost your happy hormones, and and there was another one about dealing with leading in turbulent times. So managers were as well very happy with this webinar, and they expressed that they had learned some really interesting, heard some really interesting material. So leading in turbulent times as well. In addition to a third one, okay, I'm going to just name three. So the third one was creative thinking to surf the crisis. So how to think creatively and come up with new ideas and new ways of doing things, etc., during crisis time. So these were, if I may say so, the three top, topics.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mrs. Biba, for being with us today and bringing in the insights of Saradar Bank's infrastructure, how you motivated your employees through communication, virtual games, and self-fulfillment, sharing tools to monitor work and achievements. I'm sure this will be very useful for many of our attendees. This session is recorded and will be available on this vFair platform, so everyone can view it later on. Thank you, everyone, and stay connected, because we have two upcoming sessions in the afternoon at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Thank you so much, Mrs. Biba.
Thank you, Ursula. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.